The constant battle with crypto is in fact not just about buying, but it's about looking at these markets and staying logical. One way to actually go about doing this is to dollar cost average into Bitcoin and into Ethereum. And in this video, I've actually got a guest. I've got the CEO of Bamboo, who I have an interview with, and we discuss things like price action, what's happening right now, the 4-year cycle, and what the future of Bitcoin actually looks like. If you guys are interested, keep watching. Hey guys, my name's Ravi and welcome back to Personal Finance with Ravi Sharma. If you're new here, smash that subscribe button because I talk about real estate, cryptocurrency, and financial freedom. Now, Blake has been in the crypto space for over 7 years and it's super interesting to pick his brain. In this video, I'm gonna have a chat with him, talk about everything related to crypto as well as NFTs. And if you are interested in using Bamboo, there's a link in the description below where you can download the app and you can use the code RAVI, which actually gets you $10 worth of free Ethereum. As well as that, if you want a step-by-step guide of how to actually get started on the app, then definitely go check out this video. Now we'll jump into the interview. Hey Blake, how are you? Welcome onto the podcast or the YouTube channel. It's good to have you.
Thanks, Ravi. Great to be here, and looking forward to the chat.
No, I appreciate you making the time. Obviously, you're elsewhere. You're not in Sydney at the moment. But for the audience that doesn't really know about Bamboo, I mean, I've spoken about it on the channel, but if they don't know what Bamboo is, they don't know who you are. Can you give us some context? 2 to 3 minutes of context around what you guys do.
Yeah, of course. So Bamboo, at its essence, is a micro savings and micro investment platform. And it allows people to, dollar cost average and save in Bitcoin, Ethereum, and other digital assets. And it's really our vision to help anybody gain access to the asset class with as few complications and as little learning curve as possible. We don't want there to be barriers to entry for people that maybe too scared to, store their private keys or do complicated things like interface with order books. So we try to remove all the complexity. So it's saying that you can use yourself, but also give to, your friend who's been thinking about it for many years, or your parents or your sister, So that's really the ethos of the business.
And it's interesting because we've come so far from, 5-10 years ago when you could purchase Bitcoin, you were purchasing it on some shady website, whereas now it's become a lot easier, right?
Exactly right. Yeah, when I first got started in crypto, it was challenging to buy. Often you'd end up buying them in person on, or through shady platforms with poor security. And there was really a big learning curve, and for that reason, there wasn't very much adoption. There just wasn't the infrastructure in place. There were poor user experiences. That's why it's still, the sector's notoriously known for, its challenges with user experience. So yeah, we've tried to solve all of those things.
Yeah, nice one. And some context around you. What were you doing before this, before the world of crypto? What were you doing before that? And what's your role right now in Bamboo?
Yeah, for sure. So I started, getting interested in crypto in about 2015. Buying it and messing with it really out of utility. I was living abroad in Europe and I didn't have a local bank account, and using Bitcoin to send value around was much easier than trying to figure out how to get a bank account in the country that I was in. So I first came to it really through utility. And then I ended up moving to China in 2016 for a research role after uni. I studied urban planning and urban design. And when I was in China, I noticed that there was an opportunity to buy Bitcoins from Europe, a particular exchange called BTCE, which was an Eastern European exchange, and then sell those same Bitcoins or other cryptocurrencies on Huobi, which is a Chinese domiciled exchange at that point in time. That's classically known as arbitrage. At the time, I didn't really know what I was doing, but there was some days like a 3 to 5% premium just picking it up in Europe and selling it in Asia.
Yeah,
So that was
wow. Because 5% is normally like a return that you'd get all year. So if you were able to
yeah.
just do the arbitrage on a weekly basis, you're making quite good coin.
Yeah, that's right. But it, of course, had its challenges because the infrastructure back then wasn't like it was today. There was no such thing as stable coins. So often you would have to finish the trade in other more stable cryptocurrencies. And of course, China, there were regulatory issues with cryptocurrency. There still are, where, some months they would ban it to try to implement legislation and additional regulation in the industry. And, it was a scary time when, you were halfway through trades and you would hear an announcement that China's banning Bitcoin. And yeah, so it's definitely a bit shaky.
And now with the topic of regulation, that's the big thing, right? The next big thing, which is being discussed all over the world. What are your thoughts on, two tiers? One, regulation in general for the crypto space, and also where do you think Australia is in relation to regulation?
Yeah, regulation is such an important thing because that's what's going to allow for broader mainstream adoption. If businesses, and particularly big businesses, know that there's regulatory certainty to build businesses within, then it's going to give them more confidence to deploy capital into the sector. Now, America, for example, is really legislating through litigation, where Australia is more taking a they're like more consultating, the industry and participants in the sector to come up with a more holistic framework for regulating cryptocurrencies and other blockchain technologies. So I think that, we are ahead of the pack from that respect. And I have no doubt that, the work that we do in Australia, other countries are going to follow suit to similar things that we implement.
Yeah, nice, man. I guess there's always that concern, regulation comes in, the government controls us. Are you sort of around that sort of theory? Are you in that narrative, or are you more so going, we need regulation as part of this? It's never going to be completely decentralized because if you want mainstream adoption, you're going to need some level of centralization. Is that how you sort of see it as well?
Yeah, there's definitely going to be different segments to the marketplace. You're going to have those really regulated products that, probably deal directly with consumers, investment products. But then there's also going to be a whole heap of infrastructure that's decentralized and completely unregulated, like decentralized exchanges, and other products. So yeah, I think we're going to see it evolve in two different directions, very much like the internet. Initially it started off being open source, and there was a whole movement around that still has a massive community to this day. Whereas, there were other groups that wanted to privatize elements of the internet and elements of, software development to build, long-term commercial businesses out of. And I suspect that we'll see the same thing within our industry.
Yeah, of course, of course. Now, in terms of price action, that's a big thing for a lot of people because they're obviously investing a lot of money into these things. Nobody really knows what happens next and whatnot. But are you of the belief that we follow this 4-year cycle where you can sell at the top, come back in 4 years and do it all again, or is there something else happening here?
Yeah, good question. And, I think the verdict's still out if the 4-year cycle is going to continue from here on out. And, of course, we're going to see diminishing returns from what we saw over the last decade. But, crypto is still cyclical in nature. But as the industry diversifies and develops sub-industries like NFTs, like DeFi, like layer 2 protocols, I think that there's going to be more factors than just the Bitcoin halvening that dictate the cyclical nature of the industry. And of course, Ethereum, as that ecosystem grows, that's going to further diminish the 4-year cycle, particularly if they implement, their major upgrade this year, which is going to have its own, macro impacts on the sector.
And given how things are, in the macro geopolitical stance in the world at the moment, do you feel like there's a lot of volatility due to the fact that those things have happened, rather than, it's just, people over leveraged and people not really trusting crypto?
Yeah, I think as the industry matures, and more people diversify into the crypto sector, it's going to become more and more correlated. For example, if someone's managing a portfolio of equities and a portfolio of crypto and property, and then, there's, macro environmental impacts across all of those, components to a portfolio, then people are going to take, broad brush reactions to not just equities, not just their property, but also crypto. So yeah, as it gets bigger, I think it's just going to become more and more correlated, unfortunately, but that's just symptoms of a growing industry.
And that's the whole idea, right? Is, you've got stocks, you've got real estate, which have been around for so many years, but then you have a new asset class that comes out. Obviously, you're going to have volatility, and there's risk associated with it because it's unregulated. There's a lack of education out there and plenty of scammers, as I'm sure in the comments down below I'll get. But I guess in terms of what you see for the rest of the year when it comes to crypto, what's your thesis? What are you looking at? Are you sort of in the camp of, I just invest into Bitcoin, Ethereum, and sort of set and forget, or is there something else?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, the thesis is that the more people that participate in the sector, and participating in these finite asset classes, there's only 21 million Bitcoins, and soon Ethereum's going to be deflationary. The more people that participate, the more
Demand, I suppose, for the product.
Sorry?
There'll be more demand, right?
There will definitely be more demand for those finite assets. And then, what you could expect is price appreciation over time. Now, whether that happens in the next 6 months, 12 months, 2 years, not really sure about the timeline. But, that's really partly why we developed Bamboo, because, even the professionals can find it so hard to buy the bottom and sell the top. And that's because often these things are emotionally driven. Now, if my biggest regret from participating in this sector for the last 6 or 7 years is not just dollar cost averaging into the market over an extended period of time. Instead, trying to be cute and think I could trade the market, whereas you could get much better returns just dollar cost averaging over time. I think over the last couple of years, Ethereum has done like a 30x, you know what I mean? So there's no real point trading when the asset class has so much upside. So we really want to build the tools and mechanisms to allow anyone to participate and take advantage of that momentum.
Now, I currently use the app. And so for me, I don't obviously talk about anything I don't believe in, but with just having that set up in the back, it sort of just sits there and grows, because not only do you guys have the sort of DCA method, which you can put in, on a weekly or monthly basis, you guys also do the micro investing, right? Which is, you're going to round up that dollar to the nearest $5 or $10, and that starts adding up fairly quickly. Obviously, that is an amazing way to, build a portfolio, right?
Exactly right. It makes it so much easier, and you don't have to think about it. I think in America, I don't know how many of you are from America, but less than 50% of the people have less than 3 months savings in their account. And
Wow.
of course, that's compounded by things like inflation that we don't necessarily see too much of here in Australia. But that really affects people on a day-to-day basis, and giving people the tools to succeed over time and mitigate the effects of what's happening in the broader economy is something that we're really proud of.
And at the moment, Bamboo is only available in Australia, correct?
Yeah, we're launching actually in 3 weeks in the US. That's why I'm over here in Austin. So really excited to get into the market here. And we've been able to generate quite a large waiting list. So lots of people really eager to use the product. So we're looking forward to being able to facilitate them using our product. Yeah.
And with the way that you guys run Bamboo as well, one of the features that really did catch my eye is around the fact that you guys can do self-managed super funds. So for anyone sort of listening, new to the channel or new to the podcast, self-managed super fund is basically you taking it out of your traditional super and then you controlling where that money goes into. So with Bamboo, you're able to then dollar cost average and do the micro investing through your super as well. Is that right?
Yeah, exactly right. You can hook up your bank account to the Bamboo app that is in the name of your self-managed super fund. And you're in our regular super fund, what we do is we dollar cost average into the market over 30 years. Every month or every quarter, we deposit into a diversified portfolio. And we're building out product suites to not only allow people to dollar cost average into Bitcoin and Ethereum, but also bundles of other assets, so people can gain exposure to high growth sub industries within crypto, like NFTs or like DeFi, or like layer one protocols, so people can really take advantage of that market potential over time. So yeah, we really want to make it simple, and try to help people mitigate as much risk as possible in that process.
And I guess for a lot of people, it is that hesitation, right? It's going, do I create an online exchange? And then if you get involved with like NFTs, you got to have a MetaMask wallet and then interact with OpenSea and things like that. It becomes quite complex. So for you guys, was it that we don't want to try and do everything? It's just go, how do we build the most simplest model in getting more people involved, reduce those layers of, barriers to entry. And then from there, you can actually get involved, right?
Yeah, that's right. There's lots of people that, would want to participate in, NFTs on Solana, for example. But, I know if I wanted to do that, it would take me half a day to figure out how to, trade Ethereum for Solana and download the right wallet. And then, it's just saying that it is too much of a barrier to entry for me. So we really want to simplify it to, give everybody access to, these cool and exciting things. So yeah, that's 100%. Definitely what we're building.
Now, there's a lot of conversation around the dollar and how inflation is really just reducing the value, devaluing the currency. Do you see a world, and I know we're sort of, forecasting here, but do you see a world where instead of having currency backed by gold, having currency backed by Bitcoin? Do you think that's a reality that we could face?
Yeah, for sure. Once, the thesis is that once Bitcoin generates a market cap of, 10 to 15 trillion US dollars, then it would be, quite stable then. We wouldn't see the fluctuations that we see currently. And then, of course, there'd be all sorts of products that could be built to use Bitcoin to back, stable coins. Already we have things like DAI on the Ethereum network, which is much easier because it allows smart contracting. But down the track, there might be able to be decentralized ways of backing stable coins with Bitcoin. And that's definitely a future that could happen. Yeah, for sure.
And what do you reckon happens to banks, like traditional banks, TradeFi, where you have, these banks offering 0.01%? Do we see a lot of money outflow from these traditional banks into the crypto world?
I definitely think so. I think, there's that saying that software is eating the world, and, cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is essentially software. And some of these banks have hundreds of thousands of employees, right? And they're providing, foreign exchange, depositing services and loans, all of which can be replaced with smart contracts. Now, the kind of piece that's missing there is, what you get from your bank is kind of assurity and financial advice and kind of stability. Whereas our industry is still very much in its infancy, but over time, as it matures, we certainly see those services that we get through traditional banking shifting across to this new technology, and it will take time. In the same way that it took the internet 20, 30 years to mature to a point that we see today. I have no doubt that, cryptocurrency and blockchain technology is going to take a similar amount of time. So, I think we're 10, 12, 13 years in now. So, definitely lots of room for innovation and lots of exciting stuff that we're going to be seeing.
Yeah, for sure. And I think, with Bamboo, working with you guys as well as, using the product, it just makes so much sense for that to be a set and forget, sort of sits in the background. But I guess, one of the questions, obviously I've got a following that, are big into NFTs as well. What are your thoughts on NFTs? We'll go a bit lighthearted here. Some people call it a scam, some people Ponzi scheme. And to a certain extent, I, agree with them when it comes to these rug pulls, but where do you sit with it?
Yeah, NFTs are fascinating. And of course, I think what we've seen over the last year or 18 months is really people testing out new and innovative ways of doing traditional things, right? And, the fundamentals, I don't think are necessarily there for, scaled real world use cases, but, I think it's part of the cyclical nature of testing new products and innovating. People are going to try as many new things as possible that they're able to do with the technology. And then over time, people are going to pick up those tools and mechanisms and then turn them into, whether it be businesses or DAOs or decentralized mechanisms to utilize the technology more broadly in the economy. So it's definitely exciting to see all the things that people are doing. But, it is going to take many years for it to integrate to the economy more broadly, I believe.
Yeah, no, I agree as well. I think we're very similar in terms of our thesis around NFTs, where yes, there's a lot of money to be made at the moment, but so was, 5-10 years ago in Bitcoin and all these other altcoins. And it seems like those other altcoins aren't around anymore. We could pretty much see the same thing sort of happen here in NFT land. It's more so the technology that we understand, and then that's sort of going to breed for new business and new grounds, right?
Yeah, that's right. And, you'll see the top projects pull through and innovate and use their capital to move into new verticals and do really well over time. And, there's going to be a lot that unfortunately don't make it, but, we're going to learn a lot in the process. So all in all, I think it's a positive,
Yeah, 100%. Now, I guess, we'll finish up here. But, Blake, do you have anything left for the audience? If there's 2 or 3 minutes of wisdom, they can pick your brain here right now. You've been in the space for a long time. Give us some knowledge here, man.
Yeah. The main thing is, the main regret I have, I mentioned earlier, is, it's so easy to get sucked in trading, trying to buy tops, sell bottoms, buy, moonshot assets that, could make you 100x. But at the end of the day, the people that I've seen do best in this sector are those that just, slowly accumulate and buy and hold and don't trade. I think that's potentially, what am I trying to say? That's a really great strategy for people to take, particularly people that are getting started, because it removes the complication of it. You don't have to sit in front of your computer for hours on end, but you can still do really well and, potentially make life-changing amounts of money. So.
Yeah, for sure. No, I appreciate your time. I know you're busy. Good luck for the launch, and we'll definitely chat soon, all right? I really hope you guys enjoyed that. I mean, it's so interesting to pick brains of people that have been in the space for a long time. If you are interested in more interviews with some other people, definitely let me know in the comments down below. Smash that like button because it helps support the channel. And if you're new here, definitely subscribe. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Thanks, guys.